67% of workers trust AI more than their manager, according to according to a resume AI study that you go to resume.ai, read the whole study. The statistics are staggering.
Trusting them more as a person or knowledge?
Yeah, both. Well, career decisions and knowledge.
Yeah, I would never trust my manager compared to absolutely not, because chances are my manager barely got there themselves. Like, look, I don't know. We talked about managerial experiences in previous shows. I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't if I were an employee. I wouldn't trust me, because chances are I bullshit my way to that. Now I might be a great performer, but I'm still BSing my way, right? What is going on, everybody? Ryan Leary Williamson Cup here with another episode of The Barf. It is Sunday, April 20th. I'm surprised I knew that. And it's Easter.
It is Easter. Yes, it is.
You have me out here on Easter. Does anybody believe we're recording on Easter, though?
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
It's probably the day before, but it's close enough. It's close enough. We're gonna say it. So what's going on, man? What's your Easter plans?
You know, Holy Week is a big thing for my wife. Me and the boys, my sons, being led around by our noses, going to all kinds of different things. Kind of reminds me of my parents when I was a kid. It's like, oh, you gotta do this thing, go to CCD. Yeah, same stuff. It's just later in life. Now I have a different person telling me I need to do Catholic things. So I'm good.
No. We're we later today we've got an Easter egg hunt in the middle of a field where a helicopter drops 50,000 eggs. What?
Well, that's legit.
50,000. I want to see how they fall and not crack open and all the
100%.
candies come out. But yeah, they said 50,000 eggs, something like that, dropped from the helicopter. I think that's pretty cool.
She roped a van into doing the Easter egg hunt last Sunday.
Nice.
So, of course, Van's like, I just want to play basketball.
Yeah, it's basketball, Mom.
Just want to play basketball. She's like, you're going to the Easter egg hunt.
Yeah, and you're gonna wear a bow tie. So love it.
So he was organizing. And afterwards, he said, it was actually a lot of fun because the kids, I could remember that, carrying around the little basket and finding eggs and stuff like that. Like, it was a fun bit because he got to hide them. So
there we go. So I've got one story, and then we'll get this thing kicked off. So Erica's parents Erica's my wife for everyone listening. They're liquidating the house.
Yeah.
Right. They're just getting rid of all the crap. So they gave us an old TV they have and an old TV stand. Along with that came a VCR, high quality dual VCR with the VCR and the DVD player.
Oh yeah, no, that's
not only
legit.
that, we got the little separate piece, the rewind machine, where it was separate because it didn't go fast in the VCR.
So anyway, rewind. Blockbuster.
So Erica finds a bag of old family movies. And she whips them out. Just so happens it's actually an Easter egg hunt of her and her brother, not when they were kids, not when they were in high school, but when she was in college. And so we're all watching this together. Me, her mom, Erica, the girls, and Eric, they're super competitive. And her brother finds the last egg. She got so pissed off.
Knock him over the head.
She threw all the eggs on the ground and slammed. Now she's in college. Okay. The dog goes over, starts eating the hard-boiled eggs in the shells.
Yeah.
And then he starts gagging on the shells. Oh, it was hilarious. Anyway, so we have our Easter egg hunts. This will be tomorrow. And then we're going to do, someone that I know, a friend of ours, does an adult Easter egg hunt. We're going to set this up. It's with the little mini airplane bottles of alcohol.
Yes.
Instead of the eggs. And so probably won't be tonight.
Already.
It'll probably be Yeah, a little fireball, a little bourbon, all the so it'll probably be like midweek on a Wednesday, and I'll come in Thursday. So it'll
I like all of
yeah.
that.
Oh,
I like all of that. I'd like to do that, but add paint guns, paintball guns.
I would like that. I would like that.
Be
I'll
fully
tell you
geared
what, man.
out.
I'll give you a heads up on when it is so that we don't schedule any recordings.
No,
That that
there'll be no work after that. No.
All right. I'm gonna kick us off. I've got
Okay.
a
What do you got?
man,
Brace
I
yourself up.
I saw so I love me some ChatGPT and
Yeah.
agents and all this stuff. And so I saw a tweet go out and I went and look and and researched it a bit. ChatGPT will now remember what you tell it. So
Oh,
essentially like a real personal assistant, right? So this is like a legit memory. This isn't like, hey, we talked about this, right? As a
uh-huh.
thought experiment, I'm gonna recall it and I'll be able to kind of pull some information from it.
Right.
No, this is like it's gonna remember your voice, your tone, it's
Oh, yeah.
gonna remember how you talk, what you talk about, it's getting in the context.
Oh,
So it's
yeah.
a little different than personalization, which I've always thought mine did anyway. I mean, it talks to me in a
Mine
weird
definitely
way.
does. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, mine calls me it'll say bro and dude and this and that, and I kinda laugh at it. I think it's funny and cute, but I kinda find myself actually talking to it, which is awkward at times, but
Oh, I
anyway,
no, I do that all the time.
yeah, you know what? It's a quick thought partner that I don't have to talk to, and, so but it brings up this question for me.
And it's different than Chrome
Oh,
as a
god,
search engine. You know,
yeah,
Chrome
no, I
as a
want
search
nothing.
even it's just like I put in an input, it gives me this, and then there's nothing else.
No, I
Like,
want even the little Google AI. I don't want any of that. Like, I'm
no.
not no. So it brings up this question for me. For employees using
Mhm.
chat so say for employees using ChatGPT or ChatGPT-ish type
Yeah,
things
yeah.
at work, right? To
Right.
assist with work,
Uh-huh.
whether it's work sponsored or not work sponsored, data ownership. So who owns the memory? Is it you? Is it OpenAI?
No,
Is
it's
it the
theirs.
employer?
It's the employee. It's this gets back to that suitcase idea of you being able to then go to your next job and already have that job. And again, you might not be doing the same job, so it might not even like I've saved files since the 90s,
Mhm.
and what I've learned
You
is
got them on a floppy disk?
I never go back and read any of
No.
those files.
No.
So it's like at the time it was important to download different files and make sure Google had all the file. I'm like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
never go back to them.
but if the employer is paying for my GPT assistant, my
Doesn't
AI
matter.
assistant,
Doesn't
and
matter.
I'm doing work on there, and I come up with ideas, and the ideas turn into a product, and I built that product using GPT on the company time,
As
using the tool they paid
as
for.
an employee, I would never let the company sign up for my ChatGPT.
Yeah, well, I think we're
I just
gonna
pay
I
for it
think we're gonna
myself.
run into some of that, even
Oh,
if
we will. No,
yeah, yeah,
you're nibbling around the edges of again a lot of really interesting things on who owns the data.
yeah,
Right now, we're just talking about how do you get AI adopted, this, that, and the other. But at one point, someone's gonna, hey, who owns this?
yeah.
Now that
Who
we've
owns
got
all of my
everybody
thoughts
using,
inside?
right? And Sachs Alternatives, excuse me, Goldman Sachs Alternatives. It's one of their brands. Has acquired a controlling stake in PeopleStrong, human capital management SaaS provider, primarily in Asia Pac. 430 million. Now, why this is news and should be news is A, Goldman Sachs doesn't lose that often. They are usually on, they're like Andreessen, they're usually on the winning team. And People Strong, I know People Strong, and I've known them for a long time because they came over to HR Tech 100 years ago, and they took a bunch of us out. And this is a 24 karat gold ruler, an Indian ruler. Um, anyhow, they compete with Ramco locally in Asia
Mhm.
Pac, but they also compete with SAP, Oracle, and Workday. They have everything all on one platform, all single sign on. So they've got just like Workday,
Mhm.
they've got all of those products in the same spot. But the fact that they're investing in these types of companies is fascinating. I haven't seen them in, I'll do a search, but I haven't seen them invest a lot. But it looks like they're starting to take a stake in HR SaaS plays.
Well, it's an important part of work.
Yeah, wow.
It turns out it's, you
Not a
know,
not a bad thing to
yeah,
do. That was in the Economic Times. If you want to learn more about it, go check them out. And People Strong, good company, well
yeah.
run. Yep.
All right. Billy Idol and your CFO now have something in common. It's called Workday. So let me ask you this. What do Gwen Stefani, Billy
Uh
Idol, and Travis Barker have in common?
huh.
They're all
Uh,
fantastic singers. No.
well, I don't like any of them.
Yeah,
So
they're all they're all starring in the new Workday
yeah,
Rockstar
yeah,
campaign, right? So they started this thing back in 2023 in the Super Bowl,
right. I remember.
with an ad, and they saw, like, a ridiculous bump, and so now they're bringing big name
They're
A-list.
going deeper into this.
Yeah, they're
Okay,
bringing A-list performers and celebrities into the mix, which kinda fits the bill for, where you kinda see them advertised. But check these stats out from the Super Bowl,
okay,
ad campaign. Now these are from '23.
right, right.
Landed in the top 10 most effective Super Bowl ads. Okay, that's per USA Today's ad meter.
Right.
Delivered a 32% increase in brand recall, and it sparked a 44% increase in Workday's YouTube subscribers in just 48 hours.
I I don't hate it. Initially you would think, why are you rolling out 60-year-olds as rock stars? You
Yeah.
know. However, the buyer,
Is
it's
60 years old?
right. So yeah, you go get little baby to be on your brand.
They don't know
That
that.
20-year-olds,
Mhm.
that's going to be so the people that are making these types of buying decisions,
Yeah.
CFOs, CHROs, you need people that they can
Yeah.
relate to.
Yeah, I just love seeing plays in our space actually doing commercials and ad
I don't
campaigns.
hate that. I
I
don't hate
always
that.
always get excited when I hear it, so there
Yeah.
you go.
Ryan, this one's going to rock your world. No. China's intelligence services are targeting laid off federal workers in recruitment efforts, aiming to extract sensitive information from them.
Hmm.
Counterintelligence experts warn, this is the New York Times article. So, first of all, target the disgruntled. All right. Smart strategy. I don't care what you are, what company, country, whatever. If one country goes through a ton of layoffs and you're in that and your competitors, targeting those folks, genius. Just yes. Now, what this brought up was okay, not sure Doge has these folks on NDAs or confidentiality agreements. Now, not espionage, treason is treason. Like that's
Yeah,
pretty well documented, right? And so you're giving away state secrets. But if they're not asking state secrets, if they're asking more about process, like how do you connect the dots between these three things? Or how does the IRS connect with these three things, or you know, NIH, or any of the things that are
mhm,
going on together? How do they do that? That's not state secret. I don't believe someone from the FBI could probably tell me
way
what's
above
different
my
about that.
pay grade.
Way above my pay grade. But the fact that China's targeting them is genius.
Yeah.
What an, I, I'm not,
It happens more than I think it
oh yeah,
happens more than we even realize. Alright,
100%.
so there's this little
Okay.
theater chain, movie chain
Yeah,
down in Texas,
I like
although
it already.
not in Arlington. I thought it was, I got excited, I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna
No?
get you a ticket to the theater," but no, it's not in Arlington. It's not too far from you, anyway, so the theater chain, check this out, they just settled a lawsuit that alleges 65, the age 65 is too old for health coverage. That was the headline. That was the headline, that
That's
wasn't
when
what
they
they
need.
said.
That's when you need healthcare.
Yeah. Alright, so here's the claim, check this out. The company's called EVO Entertainment. So EVO Entertainment cut off health insurance at age 65 and allegedly expected employees to rely on Medicare. Now, they haven't admitted any wrongdoing in this. In fact, they said this isn't what happened. Okay. But they did settle for $250,000. Now, not a ton of money.
No,
It's a slap on the wrist. However,
it's just not a good look.
it's not a good look. This
All
affected
right.
over 90 workers in the chain, right? So, okay, not a huge fine, but
Right.
I think big enough to say, don't do this stupid shit again.
No.
And there was another one. I can't think of the name of the company. Oh, Allen Theaters. It was Allen Theaters. They're based in New Mexico. They were
Yeah.
also fined $250,000 for the same exact thing at age
These geniuses,
65, cutting it off.
were at a conference somewhere and said, "How do we trim back healthcare costs?" I got an idea.
Yeah, take the older population and say,
Now,
"Fuck it,
the
you're on Medicare."
workaround that no one would like to say publicly is that retirement. You could at that company, you could say retirement is 65.
Yeah, but
So
they
you
didn't say that. So,
right. So you could retire, and then you could hire them
yeah, no,
back under a
no,
new thing
no,
that has them just use no
no,
health insurance.
no.
All right. Now, Ryan, this is actually a fun story. How an AI company used old-fashioned job flyers with a math equation or math equations plural to recruit engineers in San Francisco. So
Oh, yeah.
all the polls where you stick
Yeah,
up the
we used to
band
do that, yeah.
stickers.
Mhm,
So they just did the equations, and then it just had a
mhm.
link. And so engineers would see these math equations and try to figure it out, and then they click the link, and the link was to a job ad.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's genius. Yeah, we done that for recruiters,
Yeah,
eons ago, where we would not write the jobs in a Boolean search, but we would when we're looking for sourcers, but we would put sections upon sections in different parts of, wherever we were doing it, and they'd put it
right.
together. Now, we didn't get a whole lot of people. We
Yeah,
probably
but
got
still,
2 or 3 people, but it was pretty cool to do, and it was fun.
well, engineers love challenges and puzzles.
Yeah.
So anything you can do right there. So other normal people would just walk by and go,
Yeah. Engineer would be like,
and
"Well,
you're like, wait a minute, what is
yeah,
that?
I'm
Y
getting
divided by
paid."
7?
Alright. I got this one here. I'm gonna call this riches to rags. Yeah, a little reverse play here. So,
Okay.
Omni Hotel saved $25 million. Let me tell you how.
Yeah.
So, there's a woman who worked in the marketing department at Omni Hotels. She said she was paid
At
less than
HQ or at one of the outlets, at one of the
uh, I
because
don't
we have
know.
an Omni in Dallas and an Omni in Fort
Yeah,
Worth.
I have no
Okay.
clue.
All
Just
right.
Omni Hotels. We'll just go with that.
Run with it.
It said she was paid less than men doing the same job. Okay, got it. So a lawsuit was filed. She
Okay.
took Omni to court. The jury found that Omni Hotels did not violate Equal Pay Act. However, they awarded her $25 million for under violation of the Civil Rights Act, and this is what the jury awarded. $25 million to her. So of course, Omni's like, yeah, not happening.
No.
They went and did the retrial, and she lost.
Appeal.
She
Yeah.
lost. Yeah,
Why would
appealed
it be
the
under the civil
retrial.
rights?
So,
Was it,
well, so here's what happened. So she lost the entire award. She got $0, no
yeah,
back
yeah.
pay, no damages, no settlement, nothing. And so the ruling from the judge was you can't logically say no pay discrimination under one law and then award millions for pay discrimination under another.
Oh, interesting.
And that was it. That was the end of the end the game. So I'm just saying, you go from
Wow.
having $25 million at least verbally, and you win your case.
Well, you've already spent that
Yeah,
in
you
your
spent that.
mind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Your
Yeah,
life
but
changed, and then
but Omni's not gonna. No large company like that is going to not do appeal that.
no, of course not. But that doesn't stop the woman from saying,
Oh, I've already spent that. I've got a
"Holy cow!"
car.
Yeah,
I've upgraded the yeah.
yeah.
I've
So
done
now
all that
she's
stuff.
at $0 and probably out of a job. So there you
God
go.
bless her. Hopefully it works out for her. So 40% of Black U.S. adults are open to discussing religion at work,
Mm,
a
hard
higher
no.
figure than all other racial groups. This is theconversation.com. Really cool website. Go check it out. And it shocked me. I mean, shocked. I wouldn't have guessed that if you'd lined this up as a trivia type deal. I wouldn't have thought that African American folks were more willing to talk about religion. I would have picked WASP, White Anglo-Saxon Protestants, that they're more willing, especially in the South. I would have expected them to be a category that far more, and again, especially in the South, far more talk about religion than African American folks. So that was cool,
Yeah,
and
in a
not what
corporate setting, I don't want to talk about any of that. Religion, if I'm coming into an office building,
I know.
man, I just want to work
I know.
and I want to go home. I'm just
I
saying. Here's different, right? We're doing, but like, yeah, no. If I'm getting dressed, going to an office, and I got to be with 150 people, I
yeah.
don't want an office full of conversation around religion and politics. So, all right. So, Seek Out just launched something called Spot, which is
Mm-hmm.
an AI powered recruiting service. So, we hosted Lauren Heffron on one of the podcasts yesterday. So, an episode will be out shortly. Um, and so you guys will get the whole story behind what this is. But she came on to talk about what Seek Out's been up to. We haven't talked to him in a while.
Oh, it's been a while.
Um, yeah, so this is kind of an interesting play for me. Um, I didn't like it at first. I was kind of like, "What?"
You were holding back. I could
Yeah, I
tell.
was I was kinda like, What are we doing here?" But I came around to the idea. It's sourcing, it's screening, it's outreach. I get it, and I don't know, I kinda dig it, and we talked about it, I think it was yesterday, where, we're seeing companies now offering service layers, software
Yep.
firms offering service layers on top of what they're doing. So I know you can get into that, but before we do that, so here's how Spot works. So if you're listening, you're a seek out recruit customer, or if not, if you need help,
Yeah.
here's how this thing works. So you tell Spot what you need. Plain language, no Boolean search. Just here's what I need. AI finds all the best matches, scans all their millions of profiles. You get a qualified shortlist. They build the reach out and all of that stuff. But then you're paired with a recruiter who
Right.
works at Seek Out for Spot. And that recruiter then works with they polish up everything, they vet them, they do everything, they push them through to the next level. So you get a qualified, interested, and available candidate ready to have a conversation.
I love it. I love it. I loved it immediately when she was talking about it because of the AI adoption angle.
Mhm.
Because instead of get forcing people and trying to get people to learn AI, especially all of the folks in TA, while carrying a huge load, you've now basically said, well, the RPO model, staffing model, RPO model, executive search model has worked forever. Now you've got technology that can enable it.
Yeah.
So, and they can teach you the AI while they're doing the bit.
Yeah.
So now I like it for the customers because they're not forced at gunpoint to learn. They get the outcome. She said outcomes based, performance based,
Yeah.
probably five, six times during the podcast.
Yeah.
So I like it.
Yeah.
I think
I just yeah.
more services, excuse me, more software companies having a really, really thick services layer is going to be in our future.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting.
It's very
It
interesting.
sounds like they're doing pretty well with it. So we'll learn more about it and we'll put that episode out
I
shortly
don't,
for
I
everybody.
don't hate that at all, Ryan. We haven't talked about DEI going away in a long time, like 3 shows. So, but this one actually made me laugh and then cry simultaneously. Constellation Brands, who owns, it's the maker of Corona and Modelo
Mhm.
beers. So
Yep.
those are both owned by the same
They're
company.
shutting down. No more Corona.
No, announced that they will roll back DEI programming as the Trump administration continue to kind of target corporate DEI across the private sector. This was on Bloomberg, so definitely go look at this. Now, two Mexican beers walk into a bar. Just kidding. Where they're really, really targeting is supplier diversity.
I was actually listening for the joke here.
There was no joke. Although I did tell a joke at my dad's funeral, and people were they were aghast with that joke. Yeah, is what supplier diversity. They're targeting that, and internally, DEI has been renamed. Wait for it. The inclusive culture team. So
What?
I think so what made me laugh wasn't those things. What made me laugh is I started thinking about what do Mexican beer companies, how do they define DEI?
Hiring white people.
That's exactly the conclusion I came to. I'm like, oh, okay.
Stop it, stop it.
So the white male comes back. All right.
There we go.
Maybe
I
not.
got hope. None the less.
And now it's time for the plum stat of the show. When people flourish, business thrives. Unlock the benefits of 360-degree talent insights at plum.io.
All right, William. You know what
Yeah.
this means. That sound means it is time for the plum stat of the show. You ready?
I am ready.
All right, here we go. I'm going
Bring
to
it.
read it out to you. According to Plum's research, only 24% of companies have formal guidelines to determine quality of hire. How can more teams objectively define what makes a good hire?
Well, let's deal with the first part first. 24% is an extremely low number because how you define success, right? Is it just a body? We lost a body, we need a new body.
Right.
Okay. Then maybe you're not looking at quality of hire. But I would assume for a lot of folks, they're trying to figure out quality of hire and its relationship to retention and productivity and some other things.
What
So
is quality of hire, though?
I think to me, I've had moving definitions of it over the time, but it's to me right now it's speed to performance. So
Yeah.
how fast can you get that person to a better than average performance level?
Yeah. I never thought, for me, and this might go against what a lot of people think, I've never tied quality of hire to length of employment.
No, me neither.
I just don't think I mean, you can be an average C player and
Right.
be there for 15 years, right? You could be in the fucking basement getting paid. Like, it's
Yeah,
totally
yeah,
happened.
yeah.
But speed to performance is a good way to put it, I think, right?
If I can get speed to performance and I can get that performance and retain it, oh hell yeah.
Right. Well, but that performance, see, this is where that I think that goes out. Performance, good performance
Yeah.
after 18 months, maybe you don't need it anymore. You need a different type of performer or a different type
Right.
of skill set, right?
But
So
the number that a quarter, 24%, a quarter are going out and finding talent and they're not having the discussions internally about what is quality of hire, what is success.
they don't even know what
That
it is.
that's insane.
Yeah.
Like that, talking to the hiring manager, you're just talking about hiring criteria, but you're not talking about what is quality of hire. I think that is horrible.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Do you think, and I got my opinion on this, do you think quality of hire is based on the hiring manager's perception of definition of quality of hire,
Should be,
or is it company?
should be hiring manager. It
Solely
should be because
hiring manager?
because if everything watersheds from company objectives, then you're not going to deal with things that are outside of or in conflict with. But the hiring manager is going to have to deal with the talent. So, like, the company's not going to, the hiring manager is going to.
Yeah.
So,
I've always thought that, I agree with the watershed idea. I've always thought company from quality of hire should be defined at the company level. However, the hiring manager manages that, right? And
they
they
got to
have
live
the
with it.
expectation of it, because when you hire somebody, no one hires someone and says, I can't wait until we get to 20 years with this person. I want to get him a Rolex. Like, nobody does that. They didn't do that 30 years ago. You
It's
hired
just,
them because you had a need.
there's more battlefield promotions. Who died?
Exactly. Yeah.
All the people
Look,
around you were dying, and you just kind of
yeah. When you hire someone, it's because you have a need,
right.
and that need is today.
I thought you were going to go in the direction of who defines quality of hire, the recruiter or the hiring manager. And that one's super easy.
No,
Hiring manager.
hiring manager. No, the recruiter has nothing to do with this.
No, No, in fact, they need to drive that conversation to say, okay, at the end of the day, what do we talk about? I need somebody, I need them for a year, but I need them to come in 30 days and pop.
Yeah.
And I just need 11 months out of them.
Look, if they last for 20 years, hey, 2 thumbs up, I'm great.
Right, right.
But here's what I need in the first 12 months. I need this skill set now to accomplish this. And then it's up to the recruiter to be able to convey that in a conversation, which is
100%.
where and that's where I think
to the candidate and to the hiring manager.
to both, but I think
Yeah.
the recruiter has a big problem usually conveying that to the candidate. Therein lies the issue. They get hired because the hiring manager's like, oh, completely vetted, and they've done the interview, they vetted themselves,
Yeah.
but still the expectation is always going back to, right, like to the recruiters oh, well, Ryan told me that we're going to be doing this. That's great. We are doing this. But did he also tell you, here's my expectations? Now, the hiring manager should be able to reset those and have that during the process. But the recruiter's that first touch. They shouldn't get past that point until that expectation.
Far too, you mentioned something a second ago that basically says, you can be a C player or a D player and be there for 20 years and it's a big giant. So what? That's inertia. You need some of those employees anyhow. You don't need everyone to be an all-star. However, it's one of those deals like if you don't discuss it with a recruiter and a hiring manager coming together and going, okay, not just criteria, but if you haven't had a great quality of hire discussion on every rec. So this isn't just like, okay, I've worked with this person before, but it's a completely different position. They might be defining or might need to define quality of hire differently for them.
So, all right, final thought on this real quick. I want to get your take. A lot of hiring managers I've dealt with over the years prefer contractors or fractional employees over full-time.
Try before you buy.
And it's never convert them. It's always, unless they have the skill set to be converted for more ongoing projects.
Right.
I guess it really depends on where they're going in, right? Tech, engineering, they're coming in for something very specific. Solve a problem, and then we can move on. What are your thoughts on that?
First of all, it's using an employment status that, again, if everyone's on board with it, you're a contractor, you don't have the expectation to come on full time. And a lot of recruiters work in contracts where they know they're never going to come on full time.
Yeah.
They're just working that contract. As long as those expectations are kind of explored, discussed, and everybody's comfortable, I think you got a win. Everybody wins. Everybody's happy. Like you and I know probably thousands of contract recruiters, and they don't want to be full-time employees.
No, they're happy as a pig in mud. They're working for 5 different companies.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
5 people and getting paid by 5 companies. They're totally good.
I think so. Where it gets twisted for me is when contractors have the expectation or have the thought or the hope or the wish that they become full-time employees.
Yeah. Well,
that's
then
the part
disappointment and
that's a bit for me. If you haven't discussed it with your contractors, then that's a little shady.
Right.
But if you've talked about it openly, it's like, hey, listen, we can start you on contract. The goal for us is after 2 years of good work, performance reviews along the way, we hire you.
And there you go. The plum stat of the show.
We've got 2 acquisitions this week.
This is a finalization. They had announced it 3 months ago, but they have to go.
Yeah, this is we're talking about Paychex. So this is Paychex acquired Paycor. It was a $4.1 billion deal. So this happened.
Smart.
Yeah, it is smart. I was talking to somebody, and this is kind of how they phrased it. I think Paychex just bought themselves relevance for another decade.
Yeah, at least. Paychex is down market, really, really down market. Works with really small SMB. Paycor had developed kind of mid-market and talent management.
Yep.
So all the things that go along with talent, they're the ones that bought
they bought a few sourcing places and stuff. Yeah.
Right. So that, I mean, it did build that alone. You're right. Relevance. If I were Paychex, I would actually rebrand under Paycor and keep the Paycor name, and then that way you can stay with all your down market stuff you got, but then you can maybe even go more up market where there's
and
more
it
profit.
just sounds better. I'm not gonna lie. Paycor, paychecks, Paycor sounds like a better.
Paychecks has a boomer connotation to it.
Yeah.
Like anybody under the age of 30, they've not seen a check.
Oh no,
But
that's not true. My
really?
daughter, she gets a paper check. Now it's from a pizza joint that restaurant that he
Like a
gives her
paper
check.
check?
A paper check. She's like, "What do I do with this?" And I had to show her. Now, now this is bad parenting because we haven't shown her.
No, it's not because it's
Why
outdated.
is it?
It's like
Yeah,
a fax
like
machine. You don't need to show
half the
your kids
companies
fax
use
machines.
Gusto. The other ones are this one's using a paper check, which is interesting because it's like for $18 because it's just she's a waitress there, so her paycheck is like $18, but then her tips come direct deposit and she gets cash, and
Right.
so whatever. It's just interesting.
Ryan, you're familiar with the company HireRight?
I am.
Been around forever.
Mhm.
So they're a global provider of background screening services. Everyone kind of, if you know that, you know that. They acquired a company called ClearChecks, which is a screening provider, background check a company to SMBs. So HireRight, it's kind of like the reverse story of Paychecks.
Yeah.
HireRight's global, then has been for a long time. They went and got an SMB player. So they went and got somebody that's down market.
Yeah.
Very smart on both those acquisitions are very, very smart.
Yeah. That's it's so. Are companies are they buying down? Are they buying up? Are they doing that because, I guess, why are they what is your thought? Why are they doing that?
Increases their TAM. It increases their TAM. That's it.
Well,
Don't
and
go any further than
that's
that.
all you're saying. Okay.
That
Gotcha.
don't even, yeah. You could go into we want to be bigger, we want to blah 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 with publicly traded companies like Paychecks, and HireRight. Both of them are public, so you could say that they got to add revenue just so that the stock market will keep thinking that they have momentum. Fair, but it also that total addressable market. If you're adding an SMB, now you've just because that's the bottom of the pyramid. There's more of those than there are of the enterprise. So yeah, just TAM.
Yep.
Research the R.
Wait, hang on. I want to hold on.
TAM.
I gotta put it in here.
Otter PR. 4 ways to become a thought leader. Oh my God, that's great. Thanks.
All right, I'm ready.
Go. It's yours.
We got
Go.
13 minutes.
Cheers. Yeah. Go. I'm ready. Wait on you.
All right, hang on, man. Why is this? It works when I do it after you talk, but when I talk, are you hearing that perfectly, or is it like choppy?
No, sounds fine.
Oh, it's like
Seriously.
choppy as fuck for me.
That's you gotta now make another note.
Yeah. No, I'm good. All right, ready? All right, I've got a research story here for you. So this is about internships. So internships, which we all know how they work. But this was a report. This is a report that NACE did. NACE, for those of you who don't know NACE. Internship hiring is steady, but full-time offers are slipping.
Oh,
So
100%.
yeah. So according to NACE, internships are holding steady, but the job offers that usually follow, not so much. Like they're getting cut. So over 70% of employers plan to maintain or increase internships, but only 51% of interns got the full-time offers in 2024 after their internship.
That's usually a higher number,
Which
much
is
higher number.
that's down from 57.6 in 2022. So 39%
Did you do any internships when you were at Temple?
I did a couple, but they were just to get me through school. They were I wasn't that type of student.
Got it.
So here's another I wasn't. I just like, yeah, we'll go. All right. So 39% of employers said they plan to increase intern hiring this year.
Yeah.
That's down from 43%. So slight drops, but full-time job. Internship no longer equals full-time job, even if you're doing a great job. It just doesn't equal full-time
Well,
job.
67% of workers trust AI more than their manager, according
Yeah.
according to a resume AI study that you go to resume.ai, read the whole study. The statistics are staggering by generation because the older you are generationally, the less you trust AI, and the younger you are, the more you trust AI. And then, of course, as I'm going through that, trying to figure out like what the hell is going on, digital natives, again, Gen Z and everything after that, half millennials and everything after that, they grew up with iPhones, iPads, stuff like that. So they've been interacting with technology since they were very young, 2, 3 years old. So of course they trust this AI more than older people that weren't. But I think that number is going to increase. First of all, it's a big number that they would trust AI more than they trust their boss.
Well, what are they trusting him on? Are they trusting him more as a person or knowledge?
Career, yeah, both. Well, career decisions and knowledge.
Yeah,
Like,
I would never trust my manager compared to absolutely not, because chances are my manager barely got there themselves. Like, look, I don't know. We've talked about managerial experiences in
yes,
previous shows. I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't if I were an employee. I wouldn't trust me because
yeah,
chances are I bullshit at my way to that. Now I might be a
that's
great
fair.
performer, but I'm still BSing my way, right? I'm a
Yeah,
great talker,
yeah,
or
I
I
got
know
you.
how to like relate to people. I'm gonna go with something that's tried and true, and that's based off of tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people and data points.
All right,
Yeah, that's me.
on to the next one. Research.
All right. So a company, Talent LMS, uncovered they put a report out. They uncovered quiet cracking. Quiet cracking. Kind of like, well, what is quiet cracking? Anyway, they labeled this the hidden workplace crisis. So this is not
Ooh,
burnout, is not
okay,
quiet quitting.
okay.
The quiet cracking is a slow internal break. So persistent unhappiness that erodes engagement, productivity, and morale. Okay.
Sounds like people are just kind of fucking off on the internet.
Yeah. But it sounds like unhappiness has not rectified. Okay. Got it. Anyway, so here's some numbers. It's a decent report.
Right.
Quiet cracking. I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
buying that name.
Sorry.
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
what it is. But
At
the
least they didn't
number,
call it great cracking.
yeah, yeah, the great crack. I don't know. But but okay, so 8.8 trillion, it's almost $9 trillion is lost globally every year due to disengaged employees, which if they do the math, when they did the math, 9% of GDP. Okay, that's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
I get it. We're laughing at the name, but it is a real problem. So employees without training, and we're seeing this clear across the especially with all these companies. The opportunity is huge for training right now. Some of these companies, employees without training are 140% more likely to feel insecure about their jobs.
That does not shock me whatsoever. But hi, my name's TikTok.
Yeah.
I don't see the difference. I mean, I think people have always needed a distraction. I don't, even in you and I's case, I don't think we'd ever put in 8 hours of solid, intense work. Like intense, all 8 hours.
Mhm.
There's been some breaks in there, where you had to kind of
Oh,
like go and
yeah, there
get
has
your
to
mind
be.
right. But like, I think that's unrealistic to think that people can work that way or have ever worked that way.
No, but what this report is saying is that the lack of training, the lack of caring for your
Yes.
employees is creating this deficit. I don't know, honestly. I don't know that a company, I guess they can. They can change that with training. I shouldn't say
Yeah,
they
they
can't.
can. They can.
But to inspect, I thought you were going down the road path of, can you expect an employee to go through 8 hours of training? No,
No,
no. But you need to be
no.
able to provide it. But I don't know, whatever.
Got it.
So
You have
quiet
to provide.
cracking, kind of a weird name.
Can't get behind that.
It is what it is.
All right. Last research, 60% of surveyed employers prefer hiring new employees overtraining current staff. So this is in tandem with the story you just gave.
Mhm.
And this is according to the 5th annual University of Phoenix Career Optimism Index. So first of all, optimism in this particular market is kind of lunacy. However, I thought it was fascinating, especially when I read your story and said, well, wait a minute. As an employer, I'd rather hire someone and then train them rather than train the employees I already have. That's fascinating. Anyhow, go take a look at it. It's at phoenix.edu. There's another stat in there. 25% of American workers feel their professional future is out of their hands. So there's a bunch of cool statistics in there.
It seems like a lot of excuses. I'm just saying, man.
Get in
Like,
the game.
yeah, seriously. Like, I get it. We could fall in this. Everyone gets a fucking trophy. But look, your career is your career. If you want to do something, go do it.
Like, yep. I'd like to see that broken down by generation. All right, man, let's do some fun speed round.
We could blitz through this. So OpenAI secures $40 billion. It is a historic funding round. But there is a $10 billion catch. Okay. So obviously we all know OpenAI, right? This is a SoftBank deal. Microsoft's involved among a couple of others. The 18 billion of this is earmarked to build what they're calling the Stargate AI Supercenter, which is reportedly in Memphis. I don't know how big and all that, but 18 billion is going to be a pretty expensive building. However, the $10 billion catch, OpenAI must go fully for profit by the end of the year, or they forfeit $10 billion.
I think they'll forfeit the 10 billion.
Yeah, I would assume so. I don't think this is a profit thing for these guys, and they've said as much.
No, I don't think that's well, it'll be interesting. Let's see, $10 billion is a lot of money.
It
Let's see.
is.
Ding.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not
Job.
playing. Hang on. This is gonna be a lot of fucking editing.
We need to do a plum stat too.
Yeah, we'll have to come back and do that. All right, here we go. Ready? Hold on.
Oh yeah.
Hold on. Sit straight so I can edit you back in.
Clara, that's with a K. An employee skills management and workplace-based training solutions provider raised 8.5 million pounds. This is on SAS News. And skills, man. We continue every week to see something that's based on skills training, skills learning, skills recruiting, skills whatever. But good for them, Clara, with a K. So KLARA. Good for them. And they're raised.
All right. So this one's going to have a Clara in it as well, but it's not your Clara. So Job and Talent raised 102 million in a Series F funding. This is a company based in Spain, founded in 2009. It's a marketplace for essential work. It's all mobile. They do have desktop, but this is built for mobile. And now they're building AI agents to manage the entire process. So they'll have recruiter account managers, attendance coaches, agents, etc. I love the attendance coaches because it monitors attendance to the job and pushes people and guides them and helps with all the shifts and stuff like that. It does all of this in real time. Clara, so check this out. Clara is like one of the agents they have.
With a C.
Is their first agent. It conducted more than 180,000 interviews in just a few months and has 7,000 confirmed hires off of those interviews.
That's intense.
That's
good for them.
Pretty good.
I think Bill Borman's an advisor to them, or he was early on. All right, Ryan, I got one for you here. Tap Check. An earned wage access provider raises $225 million in equity and debt funding. Normally, I don't reference the funding agents, the VCs or any of that stuff, but it's really important in this one because 25 million of the 225 is an investment from a VC, Peakspan Capital. The $200 million is a credit facility provided by Victory Park Capital. So whenever 225 sounds like a large number, $25 million is the number. $200 is in debt so that they can basically
Hmm.
they're going to be going out and paying people. So this is the second week in a row that we've done an earned wage
It is.
access funding. And you even did another story, a
It was
legal
on
story.
daily pay. Yeah, daily pay legal story, and I'm still on daily pay side.
100%. EWA, earned wage access.
It's in the game. Like eat me. With that Slim Jim, right? Um, eat me. All right. That's gonna be a whatever. All right, next. All right. Dosen, I think I'm saying that right. Dawson, DOSEN secures 2.9 million in USD is 2.8 million euro to scale AI driven HR platform. So this is not life changing money,
Yeah.
but it's enough to build momentum. Let me ask you this. I'm gonna get your hot take here.
Okay.
All right, just give me your hot take, like 10 seconds.
Okay.
60% of employees are psychologically detached from their job.
Numbers should be higher. I mean, I think the only people that are attached to their jobs are entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Everyone else, I think it's transitory. So if you're talking about employees, yeah,
Hmm.
I'm not leadership. Exclude some of those folks because
Yeah.
they're engaged by the paycheck. But a
Yeah.
regular employee,
Yeah. I mean,
eh,
I think they might like their job. They love their job. They think it's
yeah,
amazing.
got to go to a place. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. But okay, so this costs businesses $500 billion annually for
Mm,
psychologically detached employees from improvement,
I can see
etc.
that.
From yeah, productivity, all that type of stuff. So anyhow, this is what Dawson does. They are learning mentorship via AI and human programs. So they combine the
Right.
two together and they teach people how to love and be part of that company.
At the end of the day, if you want engaged employees, pay them more.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's probably more. I think people would argue there's more to that, but you want me to
that-
be engaged, you
That's
have to write a check as well.
again, yeah,
Good check.
great benefits that helps
Hmm.
engage employees, bonus
Yeah.
programs, sign-on bonuses, things like that.
Yeah.
Money,
Yeah. Well,
but like the perks
we
of a business, like you have a larger office.
yeah. It doesn't
I could
matter.
work
I
out
don't need a
I,
football field in my office or a foosball table. But we
uh,
had a conversation earlier or the other day where we were talking about Connexa.
hmm
And look, I mean, look, I wasn't banking it at Connexa. I was doing well. I
right,
wasn't
right,
banking it. But I was okay with that. My benefits were fantastic. I was there were things that I was getting there that I wasn't going to get elsewhere. And they always gave away a ton of shit, like real shit.
right, right,
Trips,
right, right,
like
right.
trips to other countries and like refinishing your kitchen and like refrigerators. It was a ridiculous time when they were soaring. But that kept me there.
Yeah,
And
I
then,
can see that.
the team was fantastic. But all of that is what kept me there. So there you go.
Last funding of the time of
Yeah.
this week. Ready? Vizzy sounds like
Busy.
a rap. Sounds like a
Yeah.
rapper.
You
Not a
find companies that have good names. I think that's your criteria. Funding, cool. Good name. All right, you're in.
You're in Busy, Vizzy, which provides companies with personalized digital CVs,
Ooh,
raised 3.65 million pounds. So that's probably about
it's heavy.
4 million or 4.5 million.
Yeah.
It's Tech EU is where I found that. So if you want to go look up the story, that's cool. So this is a quote, right? Vizzy aims to modernize job applications by enabling candidates to create digital profiles that showcase not just experience, but interest, ambitions, and future potential. I think that works with a younger generation where it's not just a resume of where I've been and things I've collected along the way. I get to talk a little bit more about me, my interests, my
Mhm.
passions, my hobbies, like all that stuff. Like you get to see all of this, the
Yeah.
complete picture of me. I I wouldn't care, but I can see younger people wanting to talk about it and younger people in the hiring phase wanting to see it.
Yeah. I'm kind of like, I don't
Vizzy,
know. Look,
Vizzy.
the baby's not ugly. However, baby's not ugly, but here's, I know we have to go through 100 iterations of these types of platforms that
Right, to
are
get to the
aiming
one.
to make the
Yeah.
resume amazing, right? Or change the resume. I mean, it's been, since
Half the industry have said the resume's dead.
yeah,
It's dead.
yeah. But and these okay, they're reiterate, they're doing different versions. I get it. We got to go through 100 of these to get
Oh
to
yeah.
the. But what is the final? If we knew that, we'd have the platform. But do we actually need a I don't know. I don't know. This is an area where I'm kind of like, is it a waste of
Whenever I
money?
see CV, it's obviously European, or in the
Well, of course.
States, it would be education.
Yeah,
So,
academic. Yeah,
right. But that's it. So when I see CV, it already sends up a flag.
yeah,
Then you've got half the market that basically there is no resume. We've got several AI plays where they just ask you a series of questions,
yeah,
and you answer the questions. They're not asking you about your passions and your
yeah.
hobbies and
I
all
don't
that
know.
other stuff. So
I feel
busy,
like, yeah, I feel like these are. I mean, good luck, man. I don't like people to fail.
100%.
However, I just feel like there's been a whole bunch of these. What is
Little
that?
pocket. That's
Oh,
pocket
the
Jesus.
little pocket Jesus.
Yeah, little pocket Jesus. There you go.
Is that to tell
It's a
me to
holy
stop
week.
talking about the resume?
Yeah. Well, it's just I've got them on my desk,
There you go.
and it's Holy Week, so
There you
thought we'd
go.
bring out the
Yeah.
pocket Jesus.
Well, if you're part of Visi, reach out to us. Let's talk. Let's go
100%.
through it. Let's see.
Convince us.
Yeah, I want to see it. I hope everyone does well. I'm just not a lover of resume stuff. So anyhow, thank you all for listening. Please take a moment to rate us, like us, love us everywhere, and we shall see you soon.